Welcome to GAO's Watchdog Report, your source for news and information from the U.S. Government Accountability Office. I'm Sarah Kazmarek. Federal laws protect the Postal Service from its competitors like Amazon, FedEx, and UPS. Congress passed those laws for a reason. The Postal Service has a long history of delivering mail to Americans' doorsteps on an almost daily basis. Those laws gave the Postal Service monopolies to deliver some types of mail and gain exclusive access to our mailboxes. Why? Well, to help protect its revenues. As we communicate less by sending mail and more just online, the Postal Service's revenue drops. Its net losses were over $60 billion in the last decade. Its poor financial condition may jeopardize its ability to fulfill its mission of universal service so that everyone, no matter where they live, can receive mail.
You know, the Postal Service has been around for 200 years. It's an institution that we all know. These post offices are on our street, in our neighborhood, the postal carriers on our block. But what a lot of people don't know is the Postal Service has to pay its own way. It's not a typical government agency in that it doesn't get any federal funds. And so any money that it needs to operate, it has to get through what it charges its customers.
So that was Lori Rectanis, a director in our physical infrastructure team. Lori and I met out in front of a post office on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. to talk about GAO's new report on Postal Service monopolies.
So in setting up this structure, Congress thought if we're going to expect the Postal Service to do certain things, we have to give it some revenue protection. So it established two monopolies. The first one says that only the Postal Service can carry letters. And those are things like birthday cards and bills and things like that. The second monopoly says only the Postal Service can put something in your mailbox.
So does having these monopolies still make sense?
There's no doubt that these monopolies provide some revenue protection for the Postal Service. The real question is, are they still achieving the goals that they were designed to do decades ago? Think about the delivery landscape today. The Postal Service might have a monopoly over first-class mail, like the letters and the cards that you send, but that mail is dropping drastically because who's mailing anymore, right? We send birthday greetings through Facebook or we pay our bills online.
What happens if we take these monopolies away?
From a consumer perspective, we would see a couple things. One, you'd have a greater choice potentially in the people that would be delivering your mail. And the second thing is you'd have more people coming in and out of your mailbox. So those people who think this is a good idea talk about it in a way that says, as a consumer, if you had greater choice about what you get and how you get it and where you get it, and maybe at a better price, this is a good thing, right? And in general, people think that greater competition leads to innovation and efficiency.
What about the flip side? What are some possible downsides here?
What about if you live at the bottom of the Grand Canyon or you live in the middle of a rural area and no one wants to deliver the mail to you? You might actually have less choices, or you might actually have to pay more than you pay now. And most people do recognize that if we eliminated these monopolies, there could be a revenue hit for the Postal Service, which could affect their ability to operate. And finally, if people are coming in and out of your mailbox, some people raise questions about security and privacy and who's going to have access to the mail that you put in there.
Let me go back to your point on revenue. Are you able to put a price tag on the value of Postal Service monopolies?
Well, there's an organization called the Postal Regulatory Commission, or the PRC, and they have valued the monopolies at about $5.5 billion. The way they calculate this, it's not what the Postal Service is making from the monopolies, but it's the amount of money they would lose if those monopolies were eliminated. So what they're saying is there's $5 billion worth of mail that potentially could be delivered by someone else.
So I know your report also looked at how other countries have dealt with these challenges. What have happened in other countries when they've taken away their Postal Service monopolies?
We looked at 6 countries that had either reduced or eliminated their monopolies, and not surprisingly, their experiences are a little bit of a combination of what folks say could happen here. The postal operators, like our Postal Service, did experience some revenue loss initially, but once they lost their monopolies, they also realized that they had some more flexibility about what they could charge and the types of products they could offer. So in the end, the delivery system in those countries did become more efficient and innovative and competitive.
Okay. So there's a lot to consider here when it comes to possibly changing Postal Service's monopolies. Some people may have more options for who delivers their mail and maybe even at a better price, but others could have to pay more. Will we see changes like this happening anytime soon? And what's the bottom line here?
You know, GAO has said for years that action needs to be taken to address the Postal Service's financial challenges and help it get ready for the future. That action has not been taken, precisely because we really don't have a consensus about what we as a country want from our delivery system. What types of mail do we want? How often do we want that mail? And really, what do we want to pay for? And how do we want to pay for it? The consensus that came out of our report is this is a really difficult question, and that the monopolies exist in a much broader postal ecosystem, and you can't really look at one without the other, and therein lies the rub.
Thanks for listening to the Watchdog Report. To hear more podcasts, subscribe to us on iTunes. For more from the Congressional Watchdog, the U.S. Government Accountability Office, visit us at gao.gov.